Folks, the rain is holding off for a little while longer. You guys in the front pew, no way out for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is now the Polk County Steak Fry, but I started off here when it was the Tom Harkin Steak Fry. But it wasn't ever this big. Compliment to kind of what a great, great crowd. And you know, Tom and I served together a long time. He helped me pass past battles, helped me pass the assault weapons ban, the Violence Against Women Act, and I played a small part, like everybody else did, in his crowning achievement, his Americans with Disabilities Act that he passed. Tom was tough, principled, and honest, and I think he warrants being recognized here today. Folks, we meet here today at a threat posed by Donald Trump that seems to get worse every single solitary minute. We saw it in El Paso. We saw it, and we see it now in Iran, and God knows where he's going to go with that. And the stakes are only getting higher. Above all else, we must defeat Donald Trump, period. And stop his abuse of power. We have a president who traffics in the ugliest forces in our nation's history. In both clear language and code, President Trump has fanned the flames of white supremacy in this nation. When Charlottesville occurred, and there were decent people standing there saying, we will not go along with this hate, and he was asked when a young woman was killed, he was asked to characterize what happened. He said, quote, there were fine people on both sides. No president, it's more than a boo, it's serious, no president has ever said anything like that, save the possibility of before the Civil War. Ladies and gentlemen, in doing so, he has signed a moral equivalence between the neo-Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan, white supremacists, preaching hate and white supremacy, and those who are opposing it. At that time, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we are in the battle for a soul of America. That's what's at stake. This country can overcome 4 years of Donald Trump with great difficulty, but 8 years of Trump, I believe, will forever change the character and nature of the country we are. America is unique in all of history. It's an idea, American creed. All men and women are created equal. We've never fully lived up to that, but we've never, ever, ever walked away from it. Its genius is that every generation of Americans, every generation, has opened wider and wider access for more and more people. That's why it's never gathered dust in our history books. We need a president who, once again, values honesty, decency, treating everyone with dignity and respect, leaving no one behind, giving everyone a fair shot, and understanding that there's something bigger than our individual selves. Folks, we also have to rebuild the backbone of this country, the middle class, and this time bring everybody along. Because Wall Street did not build America. You build America. You build America. And unions built the middle class. Right now, there are 50,000 auto workers and their families, men and women who sacrificed so much to keep General Motors alive, gave up more than anyone to keep it going. And now they're being left behind again. Learning their health care coverage is going to be suspended. These families deserve better. When we moved from Scranton, Pennsylvania when I was a kid, there were no work after coal died. My dad was not a coal miner, but my dad was a salesperson. There were no jobs. If you listen to Barack, you'd think I came out of Scranton with a lunch bucket out of a coal mine, but I didn't. My dad was a white-collar salesman. But my dad, when we moved down to Delaware, to a little steel town called Claymont, he used to say, Joey, a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. It always ends by saying it's about being able to look your child in the eye and saying, honey, it's going to be okay. Well, today, A majority of the middle class can't look their children in the eye. They don't believe they can say it's going to be okay. They don't believe that their child will do as well as they did. We've never, ever had that happen in America. We're no longer the wealthiest middle class in the world. And the poor have no way up because the middle class is sinking. So, folks, there's two things. In order to have dignity as a parent, as a middle class parent, you have to have two things. One, you got to be able to turn and look at your child or someone you love and know you can provide adequate health care for them. Do you know that, in fact, if they have a pre-existing condition, you can still get them insurance? You know if they're lying in a terminal illness, that an insurance company can't come along and say, your time is up, suffer in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, Obamacare did great things, but we have to go much further and we have to build on it. I'm opposed to anybody who wants to take down Obamacare. 20 million people were covered, 100 million families with pre-existing conditions. Now we have to finish the job, and we can do it because the American public now understands what they had and were given by Obamacare as Trump tries to take it away. Ladies and gentlemen, that means a public option, a Medicare option that is similar to what we have now, but is optional for anyone who wants to buy into it. Ladies and gentlemen, under my plan, you have insurance. If you like it, if you've negotiated with your company, if you're a union person and you like it, you can keep it. If you don't, you can join the plan. We increase the subsidies to bring down the cost of the middle class. And anyone who's eligible today for Medicaid will automatically be eligible for the health care proposal, fully covered. We bring down premiums. We bring down drug costs. It's the fastest, lowest cost, the most immediate way to get universal coverage here in America by protecting and building on Obamacare. And if I'm president, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that it is done. Everything in my power to make sure this nation also finds cures to cancer, Alzheimer's, and other diseases. Why? If the Defense Department can invest in a thing called DARPA, Applied Science and Technology, to find major ways to protect us from stealth technology to the internet, why shouldn't we be investing $100 billion for 4 years in an ARPA-H, a health care proposal that invests $100 billion to focus on cancer, Alzheimer's, and as well as diabetes? Ladies and gentlemen, we also have to provide for education. 12 years of education is not enough to make it in the middle class in the 21st century, and you all know it. It's within our power to change that, and we can do it easily. What we should be doing is making sure that every single child in America from age 3, 4, and 5 has access to preschool immediately, education. We know, those of you who are teachers and philosophers and professors know that that increases exponentially the possibility of those children succeeding no matter what their background is, no matter where they have come from. Community college should be free for anyone who can get into community college. Flat out, free. Cutting in half college. In addition to that, I tripled Title I funding, making sure teachers get paid a minimum of $60,000 a year across the country so they can stay in. We're going to have a significant shortage of teachers within the next 5 or 6 years. Ladies and gentlemen, we need more school psychologists. We need social workers. We need more people in our schools, nurses. We can do that by tripling Title I money. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to that, the fact is that it means that we have to focus on what Trump has done wrong, and that is we've got to start to reward work, not wealth. It means reversing his tax cuts. It means cutting the tax cuts for the super wealthy. And why should any teacher, firefighter, policeman, any middle-class person be paying at a higher tax rate than someone making $20, $30, $40, $50 million? It is wrong. I would eliminate that capital gains and make them pay at the normal rate that they're supposed to pay. Folks, in addition to that, we have to move immediately on what is the existential threat to our nation. I wrote about it and introduced legislation way back in 1986, and that is climate change. It is the single most serious issue we face. And folks, as president, the first thing I will do is rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, and I will, within 100 days, call a meeting of all the major nations in the world to come to Washington to up the ante, because they're responsible for 85% of all the pollution. I also lay out a plan in detail how we can, by 2030, significantly reduce our consumption of fossil fuel and get to net zero by 2050. Ladies and gentlemen, we can, right now, if we had a president with any imagination, we can, in our Green New Deal that we're talking about and providing for a new green infrastructure, we can provide 500,000 charging stations along our highways and our byways, increasing the access for vehicles that, in fact, are electric vehicles, creating 10 million new jobs. We should own the electric vehicle market. We should be the place that shows the rest of the world what we have to do. Folks, I also call for investing $400 billion immediately in new research and technology to deal with climate change. It's estimated that farmers will be part of the getting us to zero. They'll be the first group among us to get to net zero under my plan. This will provide good paying jobs for people. In fact, they're not wages that are $15 an hour, but $45 an hour, union wages. Folks, we have to unify this nation. I know my time's getting close, but look, I'm tired. I'm awful tired of walking around, all Americans with our heads down. People saying, woe is me, what are we going to do? We're in such trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the United States of America. There's not a single thing. No, I mean this. I was labeled when I got elected to the Senate as a 29-year-old kid as an optimist and an idealist. I'm more optimistic about America's chances today to lead the world than I've ever been. Our workers are 3 times as productive as workers in Asia. We have more great research universities in America than all the rest of the world combined. We're the wealthiest nation in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we pick our heads up. Remember who we are. This is the United States of America. So let's get up and take it back. We can do this.